Hello, Stampin' Friends. It's Deb Keyes with Stampin' on the Hill. I have a technique to show you today that it's going to blow your mind. You're going to do one technique, and we're going to make 2 cards out of it, and they're going to be full cards. You'll see. It's going to be so much fun. Let me swap the camera down here a minute, and we'll just get started right away. There we go. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I should show you what all the supplies are first, shouldn't I? We're going to be using the artistic die. We're just going to be using this one of the artistic die. And let's see, I'm using the stamp set that is called Something Fancy. There's that. And we're using 3 different colors of ink: Berry Burst, Pretty Peacock, and Lemon Lolly. And for cardstock, we're going to be using a full sheet of basic white, not a full sheet, a full card base of basic white. So this is 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. That's one card base for one. And then my Lemon Lolly is 4 by 5 1/4, which will layer there. And then another basic white piece. This one is 4 by 5 1/4 as well, because we're going to cut it down. That's what that. I knew that wasn't right. Okay, so then we also have the same size card base in Pretty Peacock. And we have another 4 by 5 1/4, and that's going to be for the inside. And then we have a piece of basic black, which is 3 3/4 by 5. And then another piece of basic white, which is apparently I need to revamp my cutting instructions for when we do this in a class. This is actually going to be for the September class. So if you're coming to the September class, or if you already had gone to the September class, depending on when you're watching this, you will be able to make these 2 cards. All right, so first thing I'm going to do, and I have a piece about 8 inches of baker's twine, white baker's twine. And we're going to color it. I'm going to color it with Berry Burst. So in order to do that, I'm going to open my Berry Burst ink pad. And I'm just going to you can use a sponge dauber for this, but because I'm going to end up with using the blending brushes, I'm just going to use my blending brush. And I'm just going to hold on to the little tail of this. We'll end up cutting off the ends anyway. And I'm going to run this through a couple of times. Maybe I should press a little harder. And we are, in essence, coloring our baker's twine so that it will match. And I like to do this first because we have to let it set in order to dry. So I'm going to set this aside. We'll let that dry. And now I've got this ink on my blending brush, but that's okay because we're going to use it. So I'll close this up for now and set this aside so I don't stick my hand in it. And then what we're going to do is cut. This is, I believe, 3 4 1/4 by 4, I think. Yes. And we're going to die cut this out. So let's show you how to do that, actually. Bring in the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And what we're going to do is we've got the platform number 1, and we've got the cutting, and then we're going to use cutting plate number 3, and we're going to put the paper down on there. We're going to put the die down on top of it, making sure that it's going to get the whole thing. And then we're going to put another cutting plate number 3 on top of this, and we're going to run it through. All right, so through the magic of television, I was able to get all the pieces out. And this is the coolest tool because it helps pull all the pieces out on this. This is an add-on that you can buy for your Take Your Pick tool. And then I have one that's sitting there right next to my Stampin' Cut and Boss machine with the foam, just like this. And then I use the other pokey end here when the brush doesn't get that into the littlest crevices. So now that I have that, let's move all of this out of the way. We'll clean this up later. I can be a very messy stamper, but I do have to have some organization. Otherwise, I lose everything. All right, so what we're going to do with this is we're going to bring in that 4 by 5 1/4 piece of white. And I'm going to grab some washi tape. Now, remember I said we were going to cut this down some, so I'm not going to be overly cautious about where I'm putting my tape, but I'm only cutting it down a little bit, so we're going to put some washi tape here, and then we're going to configure where do we want this to look. So let's just go like this, and I'm going to hold this down with my fingers as I do it because, well, I could probably hold it down with washi tape too, but I'm afraid that I'm going to pull it up let's try it. You never know till you try, right? This is how we learn. All right, so we put some washi tape here for now. Put some washi, let's see what color we're going to do first. How about some Berry Burst, seeing as that's the one that's, so we'll try and tape these down. Oh, shoot. I meant to put some, let's pull this back up off of here a minute. I meant to put some grid paper down underneath so that when I go off the paper, because we want to make sure that we're going to get to the edges of this paper. So let's see, we're going to do the flower. So this flower and this flower, well, maybe this flower is going to be yellow. So this flower is going to be the pink color. And I'm going to start by, because there's so much ink on here, I don't want my paper to look like that when I'm finished. So I'm going to use a little swirling motion here. And we're going to color in the flower itself. And we're going to also color all the way to the edges of this white paper. But we're going to kind of do it in triangles, sort of. Okay. So we're going to set that berry one aside. Let's do the lemon lolly while we're at it. And use a little of this. And do this flower. You'll notice I'm just going in circles. You can always add more ink. You really can't take it away. So I'm trying to get this little flower in here a little bit without getting too much of the leaves around it. But either way, it'll be okay. And then where else can we put yellow? Put yellow down here, but I'm going to want to get it underneath this washi tape. So try that for now. We'll go back and hit some of these spots in a little bit. Where else can we put some yellow? Let's put some yellow up here too while we're at it. Okay, set that one aside. And let's grab our Pretty Peacock. Now, Pretty Peacock is the color that I chose for kind of the leaf color. So let's see how that's going to turn out. And again, I'm wiping off a little bit before I start. I'm going to start down here because I've got washi tape up there. Ooh, This is pretty. We're going to blend, 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 blend. That one come apart a little bit. And then let's see, let's remove the washi tape. We can get the rest of these. I'm just going to hold this down then with my fingers. This is kind of cool. I'm kind of liking these colors together. What do you guys think? I'm thinking I'm liking that. Good enough. All right, so let's put the ink away so I don't get it all over everything. And then what you have here is, now you have this one, and then when you pull it off, you have the opposite. So that is your mirror image, or your negative, if you will. So what we're going to do with this is cut it down to, let me think here. We're going to do this. We're going to cut it down by, I think, just 1/8 of an inch. Let me just double check what this one is. This is the same size. So if this is 4, let's do 1/4 of an inch. So we'll take 1/8 off of each side. Let's take it off of this side. So if I go 3 7/8 on this side, I probably could have done the whole thing, huh? So 3 3 3/4. Let's do that. And then we'll take, this was 5 1/4, so we'll go down to 5 1/8 here so that I can take my tape marks off. And then this will take down to 5 inches. And it took that tape mark off. All right, so that we have this, and we're going to layer this onto here, and that's going to get layered onto here. So let's grab some glue and layer it up. This one's going to be pretty simple because this is the negative, so this is the bonus card here. You'll notice I only use a little bit of glue, very, very thin lines, and I don't go all the way to the total edge because it will usually squish out on me. If I'm going to the very edge of the cardstock, I barely squeeze. Of course, my favorite is the green glue, which is what the multi-purpose, Tombow multi-purpose glue is my favorite glue of choice. All right. There's the start of that one. We have more to do, so we'll come back to that. Actually, let's just do it. We'll just stamp it and call it good. So I just have a scrap. This is about 1 1/4 inches wide this way, and it's just a scrap. And we're going to, the message that I decided to use is with deepest sympathy. So I'm going to ink that up in my pretty peacock. And I'm going to gently stamp it right about, I want to leave room on this side because my ribbon, or my baker's twine, is going to go over here. So I'm going to stamp it just gently. Oh, perfect. I think that's going to get cut off. We'll see. Looks like I got my ink in it. Or my finger in the ink, I mean. All right, so now I'm going to use, this is from the Stylish Shapes die. It's got the little stitches on it. I'm going to cut this out. Just hold on 1 minute and I will cut this quick. So then that's what I get from here. And I think I'm done with this grid paper, so that's really easier to see it without it. So now what I'm going to do is grab my baker's twine that I set aside to dry, and I'm just going to tie this around a couple of times and then tie it in a knot. So 1, 2, tie it in a knot. Sure I am. Looks like it wasn't almost dry, was it? Push that back through that way. And then we'll take our labeled ribbon scissors, because I have a separate set just for paper than I do for ribbon and baker's twine, because these don't get ruined. All right. Then let's see. Put them back together. Then I'm going to grab the paper snips, the ones that I have for paper. See, no ribbon. And I'm going to figure out, I'm going to cut off an end. So I'm going to figure out, this is going to go on here someplace. So I'm just going to trim this, eye it, trim it. We're going to use some dimensionals on here, put it down on our card. Probably use, I don't know, 3 maybe. If I put the dimensionals right over the baker's twine, it will help hold it in place. Probably 2 is enough, so that it doesn't slide around. The baker's twine, I mean. And I'm going to line this up. I'm lining this up with the edge of the yellow. So there's that card. 1 down. And then the other card. So now move the scraps out of the way. So now we're going to work on this one. So we've got, these layers are already built. It's really minor. It's just an 1/8 of an inch of a reveal right here. So then this, we're going to position on here the way we'd like it. And it's okay if it goes off a little bit. I have a tip for you though. In using your glue, if you bring in a silicone mat, you can put a little bit of dab of glue here on your silicone mat, and then you can ink up the back of this. Because it's so fine, we can just dab it on. And then that will just rub off later. And then this can go, we're going to put it, let's see. Let's move it down a little bit. I want to put a greeting up there. So that's all stuck down and great. And let's see. I'm going to write on the top of this one, I'm going to use the Grateful for the Everyday Magic of You. And again, that one's going to go in Pretty Peacock. And I'm going to turn it sideways a little bit. Press back up. I'm happy with that. And then set that aside. And then let's see. Put my glue down here where I can see it. And then layer this onto this one, the black. I like to turn it over to press because I'm afraid that I'm going to smear it, or that, some of these little pieces might come right up. And then this one, I'm going to bring in some more dimensionals and put them on the back of here. 2, 3. Usually use about 6 because I try to get some to support the middle so it doesn't get all squishy if it goes through the mail. And then make sure your card's going the right way. It's going to go on here. You'll see this one's got a little bit bigger border of blue around it, which it was intentional. And then I should probably put some glue on here. This is just a blank piece of paper because this peacock is kind of hard to write on. You wouldn't really be able to see it. So I like to add a little bit of basic white on the inside so you can write your message. I usually don't put anything on the inside of mine only because when I finally realize what I'm going to use the card for, then I will either stamp something else in the inside, or I might need that whole space to write how grateful I am for, whomever just helped me. Let's see, we're going to go with some iridescent pearls here. Put a few pearls on to dress this one up. Again, I can use my take your pick tool to pull these off of here and put them where I want them. There are 2 different sizes of these iridescent pearls, and apparently the scissors might be my best friend trying to put them on today. Let's see. Let's do a small one there, and let's do a easy for me. A larger one maybe up here. Wow, they're everywhere, aren't they? Yeah, I haven't pressed them down yet because I can still move them. And then let's put one over here. I can get it to stay where I want it. That'd be better. Okay, I'm happy with those. So press those down, and there you go. And bring this one back in. You can get notice my juice cap, and it's got like a gazillion pounds of glue, I swear, in there, like hot glue, that it keeps the cap. And so whenever I run out of glue and I open up a new one, I just use the same cap. So I put the new cap on the old bottle and throw it away, and then I just keep reusing this. It helps it to stand up. My glue's always down there at the bottom, ready for me to go. Boy, this video is all full of tips, isn't it? And then once this is the fun part. Once your glue is dry on here, it just rubs right off. That's the silicone mat and how that works. Anyway, all right, so let's bring you back so I can talk to you a minute, maybe. So I hoped you enjoyed the double time stamping. I figure if you're going to do it, you might as well make 2 cards out of it, right? So that's what we did today. Thank you for watching.